Hi everybody, it's Allie from Okay to Be Fat. Today I'm back to do another Big Fat Questions. So today's question is, what advice would you give to a newly fat person? This one's a little tough for me because I've been fat basically my whole life. Fat in the way that people treated me like I was very fat before I really even was very fat. I have had to put a little bit of thought into this. So what advice would I give a newly fat person? When you're a fat child, it can leave you with a lot of scars. It's not a surprise the way that people treat you. And for some people, you develop strategies for dealing with the bullying and the teasing and the ways that people look at you. Trying to make people laugh was one of the things that I would do, just to get people to think that I was charming, or to just deflect or distract if there's gonna be humor, having it be all directed at me and have me be the butt of the humor, which was a thing for a really long time for me. But it's a thing that you have a lot of time to come to terms with. If you became fat tomorrow, people would be just as cruel to you as they are to me. You would be just as discriminated against as I am. You might not be ready for it. I mean, who's ready for that? You wouldn't have strategies. There's a lot of reasons why people gain weight later in life. People gain weight because of aging. People gain weight because of pregnancies. People gain weight because of medication or illnesses, or they just do. These are things that can happen. If you have a extremely rapid weight gain, that can be a sign that you have an underlying medical condition. You should get that checked out. But if you've already done all that, because there's instances where people need to take medication that's vital to their well-being that can cause weight gain. My advice would be to not get so, oh no, the battery, I'm gonna stop it. Okay, I'm back. Battery situation solved. A lot of times when we're talking about fatness, we get into a lot of discussions of blame. There's a lot of people who are very invested, for reasons that make a lot of sense, in expressing, it's not my fault that I'm fat. I would encourage you not to do that. When we talk about blame and fault, if we say, I'm taking medication and that's why I'm fat, so it's not my fault, what we're leaving open is the rhetorical space for people to say, well, these bad people over here, it is their fault, so they deserve everything that they get. I don't believe that that's true, and I hope that you don't either. This is the same thing as healthy versus unhealthy. That's a whole ball of wax we don't have time to unpack. But when fat people say well, I'm healthy, you may be, depending on the definition of health, but some fat people aren't healthy. In some ways, I'm not healthy. I have chronic pain issues and other issues, and so you leave the door open to say, well, these are the good people and these are the bad people. And I really encourage you not to do that. It's natural. It's not bad to have these thoughts. It's natural to feel that way because the world is very invested in blaming fat people, and it is a very understandable reaction for people to want to not be blamed or to try to deflect some of the stigma by insisting on their goodness in the face of stigmatization. But the thing is it doesn't work in the idea that it hurts other fat people, which it does, but also it doesn't work. Then people won't believe you. Most people who are fat phobic have definitionally defined health as not fat. You can insist on your own health, whatever that means to you, and health is different for different people. People may not believe you. It's likely that they won't. It's a dead end, I think. What is more useful, in my opinion, is to say, well, these assumptions that people have about fat people, all the negative stereotypes that people have, the mean jokes, the way that people are treated, these things are wrong. It's wrong to treat people this way. It is not okay. It's not nice. It's not kind. It's extremely cruel to single out an entire group of people for ill treatment based on what they look like. Because you can't possibly know if a fat person is healthy or not just by looking at them, and it's none of your business. Rather than taking on the blame and shame of the world, that to really try to focus on understanding that this is a social stigma. It is what in the literature they refer to as a spoiled identity. A spoiled identity is an identity where people can tell by looking at you. It's discredited. Like it's a discredited identity as well as being spoiled. Just by the virtue of what you look like, you are already discredited. And that is not right. And it's not fair, and it's not reasonable. When people treat you in a fat phobic way, to understand that that is a them problem and not a you problem, right? Thin, fat, short, tall, you are the person you are. Whether or not I cut my hair short doesn't change who I am as a person. Whether or not I lose or gain weight doesn't change who I am as a person. But people think that it does. And just hold tight to the idea that that is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous thing to think. To think that because some people are smaller than other people, that those people are better? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. Whether or not you consider your fatness to be something that is your fault or not, that's off the table. But the fat phobia that you may or may not experience, that is not your fault. In the same way that if a queer person experiences homophobia, that's not their fault. Queer people are allowed to exist. The people who are homophobic are the ones who have the problem. And it's the same for fat phobia. The people who have fat phobia are the ones who have a problem. Now, you're going to start to have some issues. People will probably say things to you. I don't know why people think it's okay to do this. It is not. People will do it. Helpful scripts for that are generally my way of dealing with fat phobia in person is to, because what a person is expressing is that they're uncomfortable with fat people. That's not my problem. I'm not gonna take that discomfort and hold it. I'm going to be like, this belongs to you, and just give it right back to them. If people say things to me, I will just look right at them and be like, why would you say that? Why is that funny? And then say nothing. You don't have to explain yourself. We have fat people in a rhetorical position where just random strangers, your coworkers who you don't know very well, friends of friends, or people on Facebook may say things to you like, oh my God, you like gained something. Those people are being rude and they don't actually have the right to say that to you. I mean, they can, but you don't have to answer questions just because people ask them. So why would you say that to me? A good like, huh, okay, and then nothing. You want to make the person the discomfort that they're trying to push onto you, you want to make them experience that, so hopefully they don't do it again. There have been instances where people have assumed that I was pregnant. In those situations, I don't excuse the person. If they say that they're sorry, I am just like, okay. I try to hold them in a space where they are uncomfortable for the express reason that I hope that they don't do it again. I don't care, but some people do. And so when people express that to me, my goal is to have an experience with them where they understand that they're not supposed to do that at the end of it. And so I would just be like, no, I'm just fat. And then just stare at them. People melt down when you do this because you're not following the social script. The social script is that fat people are supposed to apologize. They're supposed to explain. They're supposed to tell you how they're trying so hard not to be fat. Well, you don't have to do that. You don't owe anyone that. You don't have to explain what you eat. You don't have to explain how many times you exercise. You don't have to explain what medication you're taking, where you go, what you do, none of it. That's nobody's business. If you would like to talk about things, obviously you can, but don't feel like you have to just because people feel like they can ask. People ask a lot of things that they shouldn't. That's one thing. Number two, you're probably gonna need a doctor plan because one of the worst problems of fat phobia is the experience of medical discrimination. So if you gain a lot of weight through taking a medication or for other reasons, your doctor's visits may become hostile. That's just hard. I mean, there's not a lot of good tips for that. My biggest tip for doctor issues is take a thin person with you. If you have the ability to take a thin person or cis white man like my husband, if I take him to the doctor, they don't say shit to me. They won't do it in front of him. And he doesn't even say anything. He just sits there. That's all they need to not do the thing. So you know what? I'll use that if I need to. I'll take a very bossy friend who's thin. I'll take, you know, people that I obviously don't mind being in the doctor's office with me. There's a couple of people that I'm like, that's okay. Generally, doctors want to get you alone before they start like really hectoring you. you don't have to let them weigh you. I've gotten a lot of pushback on this, but I don't let doctors weigh me. I have not for years. I find if they see the number, they tend to freak, and that's all we ever talk about. And like, I don't go to the doctor to talk about my weight. Sometimes just denying them that number will be helpful. There are instances where weight is a factor for medication. They should tell you that, and they will. Most places, it's just this like routine thing. They want you to jump on the scale, and you have the right to say, I don't want to, and see what they say. Most nurses are just like, okay. They don't care, right? This is their job. This is their Tuesday. So you don't necessarily have to step on a scale if you don't want to. It's a thing you can also try out in small steps. You can try it, see how it feels. At first, when I was trying this, I was like, oh, do I have to be weighed? Oh, can I not be weighed? And I would get a lot more, well, you really need to, blah, blah. Generally now, I express it as a statement. I do not want to be weighed. They have less time to argue with you about it, and they're just trying to get you in and out. Although I'm not sure if the person who asked this is American or not, so this is like specifically American focused because that's the only healthcare I have any experience with. If doctors refuse to help you, it is okay to feel bad about that. I do. I make another appointment, try to find another doctor. When I had the issue with Planned Parenthood and there was a fat shaming incident and they sent me, please fill out this survey email, I told them exactly what happened. And you could do that too. There are clothing options, most of them, depending on where you're counting fat at and what country you're in, a lot of them may be online. If you are not a femme or feminine person, it's a little harder, but you can still do things like, if you want to wear masculine clothes and you have the ability or the money to do this, like you can have things tailored. Masculine clothes are hard because I don't wear masculine clothes. That's a world that I'm not very familiar with. If that is something that you do want, I would recommend following Comfy Fat because they do a really good job with that. Luckily, I think with masculine clothes, there is more of a size range that's available in stores to try on. The big and tall seems like it's a little bigger and taller than some of the traditional offerings for feminine clothes have been. If you see someone who is fat, who dresses a way that you like want to emulate or that you like, you can ask them where they got their clothes. Fat people love to talk about where we get our clothes because it's such an issue. If someone's like, oh, where did you get that? I'm like, oh, let me tell you about all the places. I've built up a wardrobe over the years, but the way that I started doing it was because I was following fat people that looked like kind of how I wanted to look, and then I would look where they were getting their clothes from. And that's something that you can do. Plus size offerings in stores, especially for feminine people, it's just brutal. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to shop online, and I get that. But most plus size online stores have pretty good return policies. So you can order things and send them back. Once you learn your measurements and like what styles work for you, you may find that you don't even need to do that much. I don't really have to send stuff back very much anymore. Follow fat positive people on social media. The world will put a lot of fat phobia in your face. If you are a person in this culture, fat or thin, you probably have some internalized fat phobia. It would be like impossible not to, right? Like, you are soaking in it. It is everywhere. If you feel bad or you feel guilty about it, try to be gentle with yourself. And then just understand that the process of unpacking a stigma that you may not have thought about before, it can take a long time. And that's okay. It's okay to have days where you feel bad about yourself. It is okay to not love being fat. It's okay to feel however you feel about it. That it is important, I think, to try to counter some of those social messages which are going to be uniformly negative, let's be honest, with messages that are positive and affirming. And to see fat people who are happy, who are joyous, who treat fatness like it's a gift, who treat fatness like it is rapturous, and that like the life of a fat person can be glory. That can be very life-changing. That can be emotionally sustaining in times where you may be facing structural discriminations that can be very hard to deal with. Having those places where you can go look at pictures of other fat people, not to be like, oh, that person is having a great time and I feel bad about myself, and so like therefore like I'm doing it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. You can't do it wrong. You're fine. You're not doing it wrong. But just to feed yourself positive messages. The positive messages will start to give you an opportunity to have a different narrative. Holidays can be a major issue. Family members can also be a major issue. Those things are kind of intertwined. Once again, you are allowed to have boundaries about what you will and won't talk about, and you are allowed to choose whether or not you want to engage with people who are behaving in that way. And it doesn't have to be a fight, you know, with your family members. You are perfectly within your rights to say, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about some other thing. Let's talk about Debbie's kids. Let's talk about your dog. Let's talk about somebody's job, or, you know, anything. I hope for people that they have families that are not intrusive about their size, but a lot of people don't. People believe that they are doing something loving by engaging in like pretty aggressive fat phobia towards their family members. It's not loving. Loving someone means treating them the way that they want to be treated, not the way that you want them to be treated. And if someone says, please stop doing that, and you say, I'm doing it for your own good, even though it hurts you, that is abuse dynamics. People should not be treating you that way. The holidays can be hard because there's going to be a lot of diet talk and a lot of fat talk almost everywhere. Depending on if that's an upsetting topic for you, I recommend just having scripts, making sure you protect your boundaries. If that's not something that you're used to, it can be a little explosive at first, where you're just like, no. Try to express your boundaries before you get to the point where you're hollering. That's something I've not been great at in the past, but you have every right to be like, I don't want to talk about this, and leave the room. Or get your phone out and just start aggressively scrolling Twitter. Like, you're talking, Grandma, but I am obviously not listening. And when they stop talking about dieting, put your phone down, re-engage. I had to switch out the memory card. I am just having a day. The light didn't work. Oh my God. But we're gonna do it. I'm stitching it together. Big fat questions. We're doing it. Family can be hard. People who've known you for a really long time. People who are used to seeing you in a certain way sometimes can project a lot of their own discomfort onto you. I think, you know, you have the right to say, like, you know, Mom, I love talking to you on the phone, but I really don't want to talk about this topic. Can we talk about something else? And if your family member won't, like, let it go, you just be like, well, I'll talk to you later. And then hang up, call them again in a week. Hopefully your family is affirming and willing to express their concern and love for you in a way that is affirming and loving, and not in a way that is influenced by the fear that fat phobia brings into people's lives. Like, people who normally would not treat their friends and family and loved ones in ways that are almost mean and borderline abusive can get so frightened by the rhetoric around things like the obesity epidemic and, you know, telling people that people are going to die. Like, fat people are constantly threatened with death. It can cause people who normally would never treat you, they wouldn't treat you in a way that makes you feel bad, or they wouldn't be mean to you. It can cause them to be so fearful that they will do things that they might not otherwise do. And people who aren't nice to begin with, it just gives them an excuse. That's something to look out for. If, you know, holidays and things like that are tough, have a holiday or two at home. It's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna kill them. You can limit your time. The whole like sprint from November to January is a little tough because people get so obsessive around holiday eating and the ways that people are behaving. That can be like a rough time of year. Just take care of yourself. You know, you can turn it off as much as you can. Treat your body with kindness. This is the one life that we know that we get. This is your one body that you know that you have. You are embodied in the body that you have. And when you treat your body with kindness, when you listen to your hunger signals, when you listen to, you know, your body saying like, I'm hurting, like, please stop. When you listen to these things, you're not only being kind, you're being kind to yourself. You deserve that. Everyone deserves that. The kindness that you would want to manifest in the life of the person that you love the most. That is how I hope that you would treat yourself. Your body, fat or thin, is something that you need to treat with kindness and feed it, love it, and try to, as much as you can. And I know it's difficult when bodies are doing things that we don't necessarily want, and I think it's okay to have a complicated relationship with your fatness, but this is your life and you can spend it obsessed with dieting, or you can live and do other things. That's probably not comprehensive, so I would ask other fat people to leave the letter writer advice in the comments if there's things that you think that I missed or things that you would add. Happy to have you guys add those comments. I think that would be super great. That's all I've got. Please like and subscribe to the channel. That really helps me. All right, that's it. Big fat questions. Bye.